We are women. Together we have power. Let's increase our choices. We are women. Together we have power. If we all raise our voices. I am a woman. Give me the courage to roar.
Often forget or don't realize that mental illness is among the #1 cause of disability in our country, costing nearly $200 billion in lost wages annually. Depression, #1 cause of disability worldwide. Suicide rates continue to climb among adults, adolescents, and even children.
I have struggled with feelings of unworthiness for as long as I can remember. From the outside, my life looked pretty perfect when I was growing up. Unconditional self-worth is the antidote to low self-worth. Unconditional self-worth is a way out of self-criticism, shame, and unhealthy behavior. It is a way out of depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. It is time for us to base our worth on the fact that we are human, to cultivate a worth that persists even when life does not go as we hoped. So what keeps us from cultivating unconditional self-worth? Some people may fear that if they get too satisfied with themselves, they won't be motivated to grow and change. Others may feel that accepting themselves as worthy would be arrogant. And some may simply believe that feeling worthy is impossible. What the world would look like if we all cultivated unconditional self-worth.
Good evening, everyone. I am so glad you tuned in tonight to Real Talk with Jean Price. Listen, we have a wonderful show in store for you tonight. I just want to take the time to wish every woman, whether I know you or I don't, happy Women's International Day, which was yesterday. I get it. But guess what? We're celebrating all month long, so you don't want to miss Real Talk because we have so many different wonderful topics that are pertaining to us as women. I'm excited to be a woman, and I hope you are too, because you don't want to miss what we're going to talk about. So many great topics, so many wonderful guests. You have an opportunity to like, to comment, to share, tell your mother, your auntie, your sister, your grandma. Listen, you want to tune into Real Talk with Jean Price, and I am glad you're going to do it. This is probably one of my favorite topics, not just because I am a woman, but because we get to talk about the things that affect us, the things we think about, what we share with other women, just coming together. And what I love about women, we love to come together and share. And I have to laugh because sometimes when we come together as women, one can be talking and the other one can be talking over the other one. But guess what? The beautiful part is that we hear each other. And that's what I like about a community of women. And tonight I have a wonderful guest with me, and she's going to help us kind of define some great things as women. So listen, go and tell them to come and watch Real Talk with Jean Price. We're going to start our beautiful show. So listen, I want you to welcome my guest, a wonderful profession. She's a social worker. She has some things that we're going to talk about. The state of mind of women. The state of mind of women. Help me welcome my guest tonight, Sandrine Etienne. Sandrine, come on out to Real Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the show.
Oh my goodness. Let me tell my audience tonight, I had such a great time talking to Sandrine behind stage. And we could have kept on talking. It was some real good stuff. So I'm going to move on out the way just for a few seconds. And I'm going to allow Sandrine kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm obviously Sandrine, and I'm a licensed social worker based here in New York. And I basically work in the New York City area rather. And I see people that I work for a major hospital-based system, and I see people that are out in the community, that are home, recovering from some sort of illness. They could be dealing with cancer. They could be dealing with issues such as, multiple medical problems like diabetes, heart failure. I mentioned cancer already, and just so many other different illnesses. Even just having had a baby, and just really focusing on some of the psychosocial issues that are happening around them, and just how they're coping and how they're managing and dealing with it. And in addition to that, given my experience and having worked with people that are dealing with all of these medical conditions and different issues that they've had to go through in the healthcare system, it just inspired me to create my website called misguidednotions.com, where I basically provide a resource for people looking for insight and information to help themselves or their loved one dealing with chronic and debilitating illness. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Well, I have to tell you, that was a whole list, but a powerful, powerful list. So we want to welcome you again. And you said so much. Oh my gosh. Like my mind begins to just run with this. I was thinking about Simone Biles as you were talking. And I just kind of want to start a little bit with mental health. I personally saluted her that she was able to actually come out publicly and talk about what she was struggling with mentally. And it seems to be out there now. People are really starting to share what's affecting them. Can we kind of talk a little bit about depression and what's affecting us as women from that perspective? How do we cope? What do we do?
I think just talking about it, just being so open and sharing our stories. I mean, we've had many different celebs that have been open and talking about some of these issues that they're going through. And I think it's so important and very powerful for women like Simone Biles, who are willing to say, you know what, I can't do all of these things. I can't be all of these things that society expects me to be, because I'm struggling and going through XYZ. And it's taking away from that narrative that we're like told as women, especially Black women, like you have to be strong. You got to just pull yourself up and come out of it, and, lean on your faith. And, oh, we're not going to talk about that, or we're not going to really discuss that or talk about that openly. But why? Why not share these stories? Why not express ourselves truthfully and wholeheartedly? And you'd be so surprised, like, how inspiring you could be to someone else. And I think I really do believe that social media has been such a powerful tool. And I know in a lot of ways it's negative, but it's also positive in the sense that it's created this space for so many people to openly talk about their struggles. And also you see a lot of different mental health professionals also talking about, hey, it's okay to feel this way, or maybe you do feel this way, and really offering like guidance and help and support.
You said something, and it makes me think about expectation, right? And it's true. I think there's an expectation that's put on us as women. And I love how you put it, how the laundry list that comes, we're expected to fulfill it. And it's very difficult. I don't know if people really understand that it's hard to fulfill a list. Number one, sometimes you don't even know how to, but the pressure is put on you to do it. So how do we overcome the expectation that we have to fulfill so much, and just be able to tell yourself, no, I can't do that today. I can revisit that tomorrow. Can we kind of talk about that? Because I used to be so A-type inwardly, like, no, I got to get it done today, because if I don't get it done today, somebody's going to be disappointed.
I think setting limits, setting boundaries. There's this amazing social worker also. She's on Instagram, Nadira Tawab. I'm probably messing up her last name. Oh, forgive me. But she talks all about setting boundaries and how important it is. And, and that also, you even said it. You said it yourself in the conversation. You said, how do I say, like, you kind of said, how do I say no?
Right.
That's it. Sometimes you just got to say no and I think that's okay. And I think society has to accept that. And I feel like, again, as women, we're so used to saying, oh no, we got to do this. We got to pull through. We got to push through and keep going. And we don't want to set those boundaries, but why?
Right.
Why? It's
I think that's powerful. That's a very good question that we probably can ask, right? So many people, I can remember when my girls were young, and I have 3 daughters, and since I can remember running from here, running to there. And there was some times I just wanted to get off autopilot.
Yes.
tell the plane to land, and wait, and sit on the runway while I'm on the plane. I can wait.
Yes,
Sometimes I didn't even want to get off the plane. I just want to say, can I breathe a little bit? And so many women, we face it. And you and I had such a great conversation to the audience backstage. We were talking about postpartum depression. And I was sharing with you how I really feel like that's what I went through because and I said to you, my daughters are 16 months apart. I didn't plan the last one, and she was here. What do I do? Can we kind of talk about that postpartum depression a little bit?
absolutely. And I feel again, it's becoming more common that people are talking about it. And I knew from a professional standpoint, like all the things that, you're supposed to look at. So in my work as a social worker, I've seen women that have had, their babies in the hospital, and maybe they had like some sort of traumatic birth. I personally also had a traumatic birth, and after coming out of it, you go through as again thinking as a professional. I'm going through the list of questions to evaluate my patient for postpartum, and then telling them it's okay to ask for help. Like this is here for you. Like what is it that I can do? Do going through all the things and just establishing what type of support they have, and not realizing inwardly in myself
Yeah.
how important it is and how huge of a phenomenon that it is, that postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. It's very common, and it's very understandable why those, like, I think I want to say it's like the first 6 weeks after giving birth. And trust me, you can have depression, anxiety during your pregnancy as well. But they really say those first 6 weeks after you give birth, and I didn't realize how prominent it was until like so many different professions, like while I was in hospital, while when I came out of the hospital, like my doctors, all my different providers, they kept asking and asking and asking and just letting me know there's support, there's support. And then I had to sit back and say, oh, right, because I had this experience, so they're worried about me. And then in talking about my experience with my other girlfriends who had babies, they also opened up to me and expressing things like, yeah, I went through this. I was so depressed, or I was super anxious, and I had to speak to someone, and I'm still speaking to someone. And I didn't realize how common it is because again, we're not talking about it.
Right. And we're focused on the baby.
Yes, that's
being right. We're focused on.
my
Don't get me wrong. Like, we love the baby, the
Yes.
beautiful baby, but somehow or another, as the mom, we're kind of like here trying to be present.
Yes. And
You're trying
being
to be present.
yes, and I'm telling you, and being a new mom, like for me, I did not realize and my son is only 8 months.
Aw.
I didn't realize the first couple of weeks how much sleep I wasn't going to get, and how it affected me in such a way that I was like, how could I go back to work in like 6 to 8 weeks? That's another thing. I mean, we could go off and like go on and on and on about that. But at the end of the day, you realize you're like, wait, I'm just starting to come to myself and getting into a routine. And then you're like, but wait, all these things are different now. And it's understandable why you could get depressed, or how easily, it can get where you feel those feelings of anxiety just creep up. It really is possible. Like I saw firsthand how it could be. And this is where I say, listen, it's okay to ask for help. And I feel like, again, we're so used to like just pulling through, pushing through, and just doing all the things, but we don't have to.
Right. And I'm wondering if sometimes we're taught that. We're taught to keep going, keep moving. Like you said, don't stop. We're taught that, and nobody teaches us to stop. Sometimes you just have to you have to just say, you said it earlier, no, or you just have to say, I can't. And I got to make you laugh, because I went through a season years ago where even when I would go to the beauty parlor, I would be like, well, no, I don't want to say don't do this. I don't want to say don't do that. I think I even put my mind in this routine of, you don't have a voice.
But you do.
Right.
We all do.
We all do. But coming to the realization as a woman and realizing, because you're so used to the voice that I had, I should say, and I like to talk about me personally, was what I got to do for my husband, what I do for my kids. it was never the voice for Jean. The identity of Jean got somewhere lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, gee, no, it really is our upbringing. I really do think it is. And, there's a lot of, studies that they talk about now where like generational trauma, like how it impacts, this generation and then that generation moving forward. It's like insane, like the amount of stuff that you realize looking back, like, oh, wow, based on like how you were raised,
Mhm.
it like, you are predisposed or you have this likelihood of behaving or acting a certain way. And again, I think this idea of asking for help for many of us, it's not ingrained in us. It's more of, oh no, you just got to do it,
Right,
because
right.
we did it.
Absolutely. And to the point that we're talking, Sandra, and I want to talk about even with postpartum, what a woman goes through in her body giving birth,
Yeah.
then after birth.
Mm, 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 mm,
What you go through in your body. And I think we go through a myriad of emotions and feelings when you look in the mirror. I'm like, oh, wow, that don't look like how we used to look. You know what I'm saying? So I
mm.
want to kind of talk about that for a few minutes because I want it to be a good lead in into the fact nowadays it's so beautiful on TV. Plus models are coming out. They have beautiful women, women of color, more really, really dark skinned women of color. So can we just kind of draw down a little bit on that about what we go through in our body and how
Absolutely.
mentally how that
Yeah.
affects.
Your body changes throughout your entire pregnancy. It just does. Like you don't even recognize yourself anymore. I mean, I was never thin to begin with or anything like that, but I will say like 8 months now in as being a mom, I'm like, wow, do I have a mom body? Because I just don't
Right,
feel like,
right. Mhm,
I don't know, just
right.
something is different. And I think it's a mental
Mhm,
thing where I don't know, and I don't know if it's the hormones or what have you, but it's like all these things that you think about, and you're like, wow, where's my old self? I was just telling this to my girlfriend the other day, like, I don't know where my old self is anymore. Like, I don't know who that person is or was, and I don't know if I'm gonna get her back. I want her back
right.
because I used to be, and I say I used to be, but several months ago, before all of this, I feel like I was accepting of this way or like,
Right.
like, I don't know, just things change. And I'm really happy that now we have this concept of health at every size because,
Yes.
and everyone's embracing themselves. And I'm all about that. I'm all for that. But I don't know why I feel like when you go through something like birth,
Yes.
it just changes you. And I appreciate like these women that come out and are so open and talking
Mhm.
about like their bodies and showing us and not like promoting this idea of, oh, the snapback. It's
Mm.
so frustrating and so damaging
Yeah,
for anyone.
it's true. And to your point, okay, so you're past childbirth, but then you get into my age group. I'm 56.
Hmm.
And so our body starts to change again.
Yes, I
So I'm
totally
just saying,
agree.
so you go through all that, and then now I'm in this. Now this is the phase that me and my group are in. We're like,
Yeah.
our bodies are starting to change again because everything started to change again. So I'm so glad you brought that up because, but I guess for me, what I'm trying to say to is I've learned to embrace
Hmm. Hmm.
who
Hmm.
I am,
Yeah.
what I am, always with the help of God, of course,
Yes.
and how I am, how I look. Because at the end of the day, I just feel like Sandra, we can keep beating this thing.
Yes.
Except, I'm not saying don't take care of yourself. I'm all about self care,
Hmm.
facials, all of that. But I
Same.
still feel like on the video, somebody said unconditional self worth. That was such a powerful intro
Mm.
video, and
Mhm.
that's where I am. And
Mhm.
how do you see women after they come in and
Mhm.
maybe they can get through? Do you see women kind of picking up the torch and understanding that they're worthy?
I feel like you see it and then you don't. I still feel that many of us, I know me personally, I'm not like, oh yeah, I gotta be this certain size or whatever, I have to be a certain body. I'm more concerned about my health. For
Yes,
health reasons, I want to work out. For
right,
health
right.
reasons, I want to eat right and all that stuff. But you still see many women that struggle, unfortunately, with the way they look because they perceive or have this perception because of society that they
Yeah,
have to look this way. But I do feel
yeah,
like it's still it's changing in
mhm,
ways because you do see more like designers are being more inclusive with their sizes, not just, 0 to like 6 or whatever. It's, you're seeing, bigger sizes, which is really, positive.
Definitely.
And I still feel like we have a lot of work to do. I still think the more we talk about it, the more people will feel more open about feeling and embracing their body unconditionally.
I love that. I love that. And even, oftentimes, like if my husband's ministry in church or something to come up, sometimes social media, to your point, plays a role because do people really look like what they're posting?
Exactly. It's so true.
I'm just saying.
It's
You know what I'm
so
saying? You have the camera filters and
Yep.
so forth and so on. And is that really what you look like? And I agree with you about getting to that place where you really do accept how you look or how you are. And I think it's so important. We go through that as women, and then we have a way of like being against other women. Like,
yes.
and I don't understand why we're like that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't ever talk about that.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Like be
You know?
positive and supportive. Like we gotta lift each other up,
Like I'm so for that. So let me just go on a little further. I want to go back to motherhood for a second. Even in motherhood, Sandra, do you find that sometimes what you feel, like you shared, you just had a baby 8 months ago. Do you think women feel oftentimes misunderstood in what they're feeling for somebody that doesn't understand?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I even feel like that even with my husband, like I didn't realize like how much your relationship changes after having a baby. And my husband and I've been together a long time and like we've been through like so much together, like, and having a baby really changed you. And then as a woman, like I felt changed, like not myself. Like I was saying, this older self, this older me, like I don't know where she is. I don't want her back.
Right.
But it's like I found that I had a hard time communicating myself. Like he would say, but you didn't tell me this, or you didn't say. And I'm like, I thought I did, but then I think about it. I'm like, you're right, I didn't.
Right, right.
It's just like I don't know why that was, and I couldn't understand it. But I feel like again, it's part of the changes, and you're like, oh, okay, you're just supposed to accept it. Like you're this way now, and that's it.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. So I want my team, if you could put Sandrine's her information. I know you have a podcast.
Yes, I do.
Okay, there it is. You mentioned it, and I want it's Misguided Notions. Okay,
that's my Instagram handle.
Okay, you can talk about that for a few minutes. I want people to be able to find you and hear you say.
Okay, so I'm Misguided Notions on social media. I post different kinds of information, more of resources about health related topics. But in addition to that, I have my podcast with my friend Anita, Care Talkers, and we are talking about health and financial struggles that people go through, and we bring on experts as well as people that are open and sharing their stories, and comedians, so you can expect to get some laughs along the way. And we just really have a good time and just explore all these different topics, and with a huge focus on caretaking and self-care, because we both come from caretaking backgrounds where we're both caregivers for our parents. And there's this side of where we're trying to promote and help people understand that you're not going through this by yourself. We're all going through it. We're all having these issues, and we're really just open and sharing our stories. And why not get some resources and information along the way? And it's great. So definitely check us out. We're on Apple, Spotify, and all major podcast listening platforms.
That's awesome. Listen, we're going to take a commercial break. We want you to tune back into Real Talk. We'll be right back talking about the state of mind of women. Be right back.
We are women. Together we have power. Let's increase our choices. We are women. Together we have power. If we all raise our voices. I am a woman. Give me the courage to roar.
Often forget or don't realize that mental illness is among the #1 cause of disability in our country, costing nearly $200 billion in lost wages annually. Depression, #1 cause of disability worldwide. Suicide rates continue to climb among adults, adolescents, and even children.
I have struggled with feelings of unworthiness for as long as I can remember. From the outside, my life looked pretty perfect when I was growing up. Unconditional self-worth is the antidote to low self-worth. Unconditional self-worth is a way out of self-criticism, shame, and unhealthy behavior. It is a way out of depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. It is time for us to base our worth on the fact that we are human, to cultivate a worth that persists even when life does not go as we hoped. So what keeps us from cultivating unconditional self-worth? Some people may fear that if they get too satisfied with themselves, they won't be motivated to grow and change. Others may feel that accepting themselves as worthy would be arrogant. And some may simply believe that feeling worthy is impossible. What the world would look like if we all cultivated unconditional self-worth.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Jean Price. Listen, this was such a great show tonight. My guest had a prior engagement, but we want to thank Sandrine for being on the show. She gave us some great insight as a professional social worker on what we go through as women. And I think I'm so grateful for the platform that we have, that we can come on, we can talk about real issues, real things that we go through as women. And we want to do that this month. We want you, listen, you have time to come and join us for the whole rest of the month. We're going to be talking about things we face as women. And Sandrine said so many great things that people go through, women, postpartum depression, what it feels like when you feel like your body's changed, when you feel like you're not worthy. And I love in the video, and I want to say it again, the video gave a great insight on unconditional self-worth. And if you're out there and you don't feel that you're worthy, I want to say to you from Jean Price, you are worthy and you are valuable. So take the time to spend time with yourself. And I just want to kind of talk about that for a second, because sometimes we don't embrace who we are. It will get to a point in life where you really have to accept who you are, and most importantly, whose you are. And I came to the realization of understanding that I am made in the image and the likeness of Christ. And most importantly, I am accepted in the beloved. That has caused me to believe more in myself, to grow, and most importantly, as Michelle Obama puts it, to become. And that's what the aim of what we're doing, especially this month. We're trying to be an assistance, a vehicle, or two, a catalyst to help women along the way to realize you are somebody. You can be everything that God has purposed in your heart to be. I come on Real Talk to encourage you, to salute you, and most importantly, for this month, we want to celebrate you. So we want to take this time to thank you on behalf of my team and I for joining us tonight on Real Talk with Jean Price. We will see you next Wednesday at 6:30 with another topic, another issue, and guess what? Another voice. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you then.